in a day has led to deadly flash floods in and around the Argentine capital, Buenos Aires.
Flash floods in La Plata, the capital of Buenos Aires province, have left close to 60 people dead and forced 1,500 to evacuate their homes. People drowned while trapped in their cars, and some were electrocuted as the water rose at an alarming rate. Local media report that 400 millimeters of rain fell in 2 hours, flooding low-lying areas of La Plata and surrounding districts. Weather forecasts predict more rain to come.
Sydney's dream run of sunny weather has come to a sudden end, with a morning downpour causing peak hour chaos.
Most of Cronulla's 117 millimetres of rain in the past 48 hours fell this morning. Today's rain follows the state's hottest summer on record. A Climate Commission report out today blames climate change for the weather extremes.
Holidaymakers may have been confused when they awoke this morning. They were in Torquay and not by the Red Sea. It was thousands of tons of earth collapsing which changed the colour of the water and the landscape of these cliffs.
The section of the beach underneath the cliffs here has been closed for some time, and there have been a number of smaller rockfalls recently, but the one last night was the largest by quite some way.
All over the Easter weekend it's been gradually coming down, just like a river of rocks at some point. There used to be a rock in the sea that's not there anymore.
Submerged 15 dolphins have died in recent weeks as Adelaide's marine mystery deepens. Meantime, the mass fish deaths along the south coast are also creating new waves.
A special task force has been set up to solve the mystery behind a mass fish kill along Adelaide's coastline.
Up from North Haven to Maslins.
The areas are still littered with dead fish. Over the last couple of weeks, tens of thousands of fish, as well as penguins and even dolphins, have washed up.
Visitors to Victoria's Gorge Walkway have noticed a strange sight just below the surface recently. Hundreds of dead squid.
How they died, how they got here, a mystery.
The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization is calling for urgent emergency funding to combat a plague of locusts in Madagascar. Locust infestations are threatening the livelihoods of 13 million people in Madagascar, more than half the country's population. The UN agency is calling for funding totaling $41.5 million to carry out a 3-year emergency program to address the crisis in the island nation. If untreated, the locust infestations may wipe out food crops and grazing lands and directly affect locals' ability to provide for themselves.
Around half of Madagascar is currently infested, with each swarm made up of billions of insects.
An earthquake struck Mexico this morning. The U.S. Geological Survey said a magnitude 5.5 earthquake.
A magnitude 7.1 earthquake has struck Indonesia's sparsely populated West Papua province.
2 people have been killed and 8 remain missing after heavy rain and flooding devastated Peru. As many as 40 homes were damaged and residents were forced to flee the rural district of Namora. There were similar scenes in Chuota. The beginning of April marks the traditional end of Peru's rainy season, but the National Weather Service has forecast more rainfall in the coming days.
A powerful earthquake in southwest Iran has left more than 30 people dead and some 800 others injured. The 6.3 magnitude quake struck close to Iran's only nuclear power station in Bushehr and was felt across the Gulf in Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Bahrain. Several strong aftershocks were reported within an hour.
The Russian city being eaten alive, cars, buses and trucks disappear beneath the earth as they are swallowed by giant sinkholes. Citizens of Samara live in daily fear of the ground disappearing beneath them. Dozens of holes have sprung up across the city in recent weeks. The sinkholes have left a trail of devastation and reportedly claimed 1 life. They may look like stills from an apocalyptic horror film, but these images have become a daily reality for residents in a Russian city. The yawning underground caverns are all believed to have sprung up in recent weeks, swallowing cars, buses and claiming at least one life. The massive craters have appeared in car parks, busy intersections, by the sides of roads, and on major and minor thoroughfares.
A sinkhole swallows a number of homes in Russia. Houses all fell into this 45-foot deep sinkhole in a little town in central Russia. One resident said he heard a rumbling noise and then saw a tree outside his window just disappear.
An earthquake measuring 6.1 on the Richter scale has struck Taiwan.
A powerful earthquake rocked southwestern Japan this morning. The magnitude 6.3 quake struck near the port city of Kobe. At least 23 people were injured, 7 seriously. Most of the injured are civilian.
North Korea continues to cause unease following reports from South Korea that 2 intermediate-range missiles on mobile launchers have been placed and hidden on the east coast of the country.
One spot, I've had hundreds of megaquakes / earthquakes. Right now, as we speak, since January 30, 2013, one spot on the earth, 8.0, 7.0, 6.8, 6.5, 6.4, 6.2, 6.1, 5.6, 5.0. Hundreds! The earth shall what? Reel to and fro. Reel is to move around in one place. Reel is to be rocked and rocked and rocked from anywhere, but in one place. You're gonna move from a quake and a shake to a split, to a slice, to a dividing asunder.
That magnitude 7.8 earthquake which struck the Iranian-Pakistani border. Early reports say there have been fatalities. Iranian officials say they expect deaths to be in the hundreds. The quake was felt as far away as New Delhi in India and the Gulf cities of Dubai and Manama.
The 7.8 magnitude quake was near the southwest city of Khash, close to the Pakistani border, the strongest to strike Iran for 40 years. It is the second earthquake in 7 days to strike Iran.
Following breaking news, the earthquakes, they hit Oklahoma early this morning.
But a lot of people saying that they thought it was thunder outside or they just thought that they were dreaming this, but no dreaming here. 5 earthquakes rocking central and northeast Oklahoma, and these things were felt all the way from here in Oklahoma City down south to Chickasha, Weatherford, Fairview, Stillwater, even on over to Tulsa. 15 minutes later, right at 2 this morning, a very strong 4.3 earthquake shook the Oklahoma City metro area.
Say we've seen in decades.
Fish are turning up dead in a popular central Wisconsin fishing spot.
This is all happening at the Big Oak Plain Reservoir just outside Mosinee. All the dead fish there are causing quite a scene.
Where thousands of birds mysteriously dove straight into the ground.
More marine life washing up along our coast, with another 2 dolphins discovered today, as well as a rare fish. With the death count now at 26 dolphins, and experts mortified by the saga, saying it's unprecedented in this state.
Strong aftershocks have rocked Pakistan following the 7.8 magnitude earthquake registered in Iran on Tuesday. The Pakistani town of Mashhad has been totally destroyed, according to local media. Death tolls remain unclear in the remote border region.
A strong sandstorm moved in on Tuesday afternoon into northwestern China's Xinjiang region, blanketing much of the area with a reddish haze. China's National Meteorological Center said a cold front brought the sand from Xinjiang's deserts into the cities. Visibility is less than 100 feet.
Another situation that's happened on the south side where the earth has literally opened up.
Patrick Elwood standing by at that sinkhole. 96th and Houston is the location.
That is a sinkhole right there. There are 3 vehicles in that hole. The fire department, the police department, the water department, Night Corps, all on the scene. A lot of people who live here interested, obviously.
all around that sinkhole. Chicago right now is under a flash flood warning. 3 to 5 inches of rain have fallen in the last 24 hours. 1 to 2 more inches are expected. So
some other breaking news this hour. There's been a powerful earthquake off the coast of Japan. What we're reading is a magnitude 7.
A 6.6 magnitude earthquake has struck China's southwestern Sichuan province. Scores of people have been killed and over 2,000 injured. The quake was felt in neighbouring provinces, causing people to flee buildings in search of safety.
Media reports are quoting officials suggesting that hundreds may have been killed.
A number of aftershocks followed, the strongest one just 5 minutes later and measuring 5.1.
Authorities say 6,000 troops are heading to the area to assist rescue efforts. Most of the deaths happened in Lushan as buildings toppled, power lines fell and water supplies were severed.
Villages were reportedly flattened in the magnitude 6.6 jolt. The force was so powerful it shook the earth at least 10 centimetres per second. Survivors say it rumbled on for a long, terrifying minute. Many people didn't have time to escape.
Thousands of residents of the Argentine city of Santiago del Estero in the early hours of Sunday morning caught a glimpse of a suspected meteor that lit up the sky above the city. The event took place at about 3:20 a.m. local time. Argentine authorities believe the spectacular fireball was caused by a meteor entering the Earth's atmosphere and disintegrating. Some witnesses reported to local newspapers that they felt a slight tremor soon after seeing the meteorite. According to local media reports, police in the area were inundated with phone calls from frightened residents.
The suspected meteor lighting up the sky. Residents say they initially got a fright, feeling a slight tremor soon after seeing the spectacular fireball.
A very different kind of natural disaster, deadly flooding in the Midwest. There are states of emergency and disaster declarations in at least half a dozen states right now.
Heavy rains have hammered the heartland all week. Many forced to evacuate their homes. In River Grove, Illinois, canoes replaced cars. Parts of Illinois saw a record 8 inches of rain on Thursday, completely submerging parts of Chicago.
The worst flood in recorded history in parts of the Midwest, and at this hour they are bracing for more rain. Already so bad, this flooding, that people in western Michigan are seeing fish swimming by office windows, ducks as well.
Authorities are at the scene of a sinkhole in Acton Avenue at Woodville. The stormwater drain has collapsed several metres underground, leaving a Stobie pole leaning at a precarious angle.
Driving from Elgin towards Lossiemouth, going home, and I noticed a massive big cloud in the sky. And as I was sort of going towards it, I realised it was a giant sandstorm. So as I got closer, the sand was just getting thicker and thicker, and it was down to pretty much zero visibility. It's nothing I've really seen in this area before.
A pretty strong quake just off the coast. Now here's the border between Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. A 6.8 magnitude quake, which was only 7 kilometers in depth. This is extremely shallow.
As for a Wolcott family, a meteorite, there it is, crashed right through their roof. Larry Beck said he thought it was just a rock dropped by a plane on Friday night.
When scientists confirmed otherwise.
The darkening really piqued my interest that this was something that came down through the atmosphere at a very rapid speed and was vaporizing on its outer shell.
The meteorite crashed into Larry's home around 10:30 Friday night.
The rock never fell all the way through. A copper pipe stopped it.
A loud boom was heard along the shoreline just before that meteorite came crashing down.
Those experts say it most definitely could have been that meteorite that really caused that sonic boom heard even on the Connecticut shoreline.
Vermont.
Mines Road in Lowell is closed indefinitely, and for good reason. Much of it isn't even there anymore. But a family of 3 were driving home late Saturday night in 2 different cars and ended up at the bottom of the hole.
But the sinkhole that swallowed the Richardson family is 30 feet wide by 15 feet deep. A neighbor told me that Mr. Richardson was able to think fast when he saw his wife's headlights disappear and swerve in order to avoid crushing his wife and son.
Now in Boulder at Folsom Street between Colorado Avenue and Taft. These crews expected to work late into the night trying to repair a sinkhole that formed near Folsom Field. Air Tracker 7 over the scene this morning as crews began assessing the damage. The hole itself is about 15 feet by 30 feet, but Folsom Street and the sidewalk along it are cracked all the way to Taft Drive.
It's a massive sinkhole in Boulder. Air Tracker 7 showing the extensive damage to the road.
As you can see, Folsom Street behind me still torn up. The sinkhole in the center of the road.
A 6.2 magnitude earthquake, which has hit New Zealand. It
rattled New Zealand's Kermadec Islands, 124 kilometres south of Raoul Island.
From Australia to Norway, Japan to the U.S., thousands of people have reported seeing unidentified flying objects.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And produced pictures they're convinced can prove it. Several hundred of the believers assembled a few blocks from the White House to present their findings, including a former Canadian defense minister.
I say without equivocation, we are not alone in the cosmos. We have neighbors. We should try to get to understand them.
And phoning in his testimony, one of the American astronauts who landed on the moon.
There's a number of us that have had these types of experiences to say, yes, we're not alone. We have been visited.
A 20-foot deep sinkhole opened up in Taylorsville last night, forcing traffic lanes to be closed until at least Monday. Crews have been out there working to repair the hole. Traffic is being directed around the site while road crews work to fill the sinkhole. All north and southbound lanes on 32nd West and 54th South will be closed.
The community of Bayou Corn is making headlines around the world. Since it formed last August, the sinkhole in Bayou Corn has continued to grow.
It's 160 feet deep, but 13 acres wide.
And the ground opening up, swallowing trees, wildlife, and threatening hundreds of homes.
It really sounds like something out of a movie, but this is the reality. This geological event is truly one of a kind.